Hello, authors and readers alike. Welcome to another featured author interview. We are now streaming live in our Readers Magnet YouTube channel. I'm your host, Red Sanchez, and joining us today to tell us more about her book, Virginia E. Escandor. She's the author of the book, A New York Collage, and pretty much we're going to be talking about it in a bit. But I guess the best way to start off this interview, Virginia, is for you to introduce a little bit about yourself to our audience.
Okay. Yeah, I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I started writing when I was in my teens. And I started actually poetry, and I actually published a book in 2011, 2012, a poetry book called I Caught Myself. And I also was involved with newspaper, local paper here in Queens, in New York. That's where I reside right now. And worked for them for 3 years, and then that newspaper folded. It's a local paper, but I had a column there. It's called About Poetry, because that's the genre that I started with. And then in 2011, like I said, so I published selections of what you call a compilation of my poetry, which most of them were written in the Philippines, because I was also writing over there different magazines and stuff, and some of them were paid, some of them are not, but it's all about poetry and some essays too, which published both in Tagalog and in English, but mostly in English. So then I challenged myself in for many years. I worked as a nurse in here in New York for 30 something years. And then I challenged myself when I retired in 2018 to write a novel. But I never wrote a novel. I started like short stories and poetry, but so that's how this book came out. You know what I mean? So that's how it is. It took me like years for it to because I'm pretty new with writing genres, this genre kind of novel writing, I would say.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Well,
that's where.
talking about a New York collage, can you tell us about the process of like writing the whole, book or story? Did you encounter any sort of like difficulties of like completing the whole book?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, writing per se is not easy in a way. You know what I mean? Um, People who are writers, who are very famous writers, even encounter such thing as writer's block, or
Exactly.
something is just nothing in there. Look at the page in the computer, empty page, and there are days when you just don't have nothing to say about it. But anyway, so what I did, what it took me years. Like I said, I was still working, and I had to write in it's a hospital setting basically. So and I like murder mysteries, nothing to do with patients, by the way, because I don't want them to get scared. It's something to do with the relationship with your coworkers, with your bosses, with your supervisors, and other ancillary groups of the medical field, because that's where I was working for like 30, 40 years. So uh, the and any kind of artistic endeavor is the fact that you have to put this together in such a way that the readers, first and foremost, I always care for the readers, because they're the ones, first and foremost, they're the ones who are gonna buy the book, right?
Exactly.
So you have a sort of I always have this thing. Writers, famous, because and and one of them said that, first and foremost, one of them said that you really have a responsibility to your audience. Secondly, you don't underestimate your readers. You never underestimate them. So what I do oftentimes is I try to bring down, and you cannot, like, you cannot say like God, which you are in a way, a way because you're creating something, but in a way don't be trying to look down on your readers. Well, what I would do is sometimes is just to be on their level, so that the readers could read it really, on their level. So I have to
Exactly.
simplify words and stuff, like simplify words in a sense. In fact, one of the one who edited the book was a English, just graduated in college. Basically, she said I produced or I wrote in the beginning was like she would always say, "Oh, her name is, but it's Melissa Lent," and I acknowledge her in the acknowledgement page. She said that this is not exactly how you talk. So basically, when you do the dialogue with the characters, is that to put them in such a way like they talk like ordinary, like we talk,
Exactly.
like we talk. Yeah, like we what we're doing, we're conversing, that kind of normal, kind of like we're having a cup of tea or something like that.
That's true.
So
That's true.
yeah, so that's how you do with to deal with that. So in order for that, it's some sort of difficulty because you also want to impress the editors, you also want to impress the publishing company, you want to also impress people who would gonna read your book. Some people who are also different kind of section of the society who would say like, yeah, this is too simple or something. So you have to find that medium, you know what I mean? You have to
That's
find the
true.
medium between the people who, like, people who just work like ordinary people, like, like people who work in the street, work in the like ancillary group in the hospital, for example, or in the office. Somebody who could
Mm,
relate to it, and I want to reach
relate.
those people too, because they are the ones who's gonna buy the book. So, on a way, so you have to put that balance in a way. So that's difficult for me to do that
That's
because
true.
yeah.
Well,
So
anyhow, when it comes
I want
to
to
this
reach
book,
out to people.
hmm yeah, go ahead. I guess we're having a
Yeah, go
little bit
ahead.
of
Sorry.
delay. This is what happens when it's live. But anyway, I just want to ask you
Yeah, that's
this,
okay. Right.
question too, because what intrigues me is that you used to be a poet, you know,
Yes. Yes.
you right, and then you
Yes.
you 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 basically transfer in this kind of genre right now. What is the biggest inspiration of doing this kind of book?
Actually, to be honest with you, I don't want to listen. I really don't want to, because part of it is your personal experience as well.
Mhm. Right.
What like I used to attend a lot in the 90s. I used to attend a lot of workshops. I
Mm,
attended like workshop, Gotham Writers Workshop. I attended one in Saratoga Springs. It's a women's
wow.
group, and one of them, actually, her name was, I don't know if she's still around though, but I attended one because they have classes. They have classes, and I tried to attend. I was only there for the weekend. It was a conglomeration of women writers. It's called IWWG. It's still going on every year. International Women's Writers Guild. And I attended just out of curiosity. I said, as a poet, of course, but they have different classes there that you can attend. And one of them is Miss Eunice Scarfy. She's a writer from Canada. She said that in that particular class I attended, she said that, right, and I think that's also the advice of instructors, writers and authors, that write what you know, right? What you know, you don't want to also compromise people that you, for example, I work in a hospital, you don't want to compromise your people that you work with, so you try to cover it up in under the genre of fiction, right? So you change all the names and stuff. So this particular book was inspired by something that happened to me as a worker in
Mm,
the medical field. So if you read a book, it's about somebody boss, and I think we can relate that even though you're not working in the medical field, in any kind of work, there's this relationship between subordinates and the supervisors, the one who are in the management thing.
mm,
You can relate that in business, in uh the police thing, the authorities, and all kinds of business, kind of of office or
Mm,
working condition. It doesn't
mm,
necessarily have to be in the medical field, which where I come from. It just so happened that I come from the medical field, and my background is nursing. I mean, in the nursing profession. But it can happen to anybody. I mean, you work like as a janitor, you have a boss, right? You have a boss, you have a supervisor. You work as a salesman in a car or any kind, and even your own company where you work, you have a boss, you have somebody above you, and that relationship, there's a conflict, always a conflict in there. You know
that's
what I'm
true.
saying? So
Exactly.
that's
I would
where it's
agree.
at. Yeah, but I
Mm,
write in fiction because I can expand a lot, as opposed to something like nonfiction. You know what I'm saying? But
exactly.
going back to the inspiration, it always comes to the point that you have to be sincere and authentic, not phony. Because if I have to write something about climate change, I don't know anything about climate change. Or for example, about mathematics, which is really, I'm not good in mathematics. That's not my Waterloo. I don't know anything about those geometrical patterns and how did you come
Exactly.
about of it. I don't know anything about that. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, as a
Yeah,
writer
yeah.
or an artist, even a painter, or a musician, you cannot write a music that you don't know. Like, you are not, like hip hop, for example. If you're not into hip hop, you are classical trained. You write something about classical, unless you wanna challenge yourself and venture into that kind of genre. Then maybe, I mean, go ahead. People do that. They sort of transform or crossover. They call it crossover, right? You have to cross over to another field of the artistic or creativity kind of thing. So that's the way it is. That's where it came from, by the way. The inspiration for that is just working in an environment where there is a hierarchy of the management, and the one who is doing the job, doing what you call it, as the soldiers in the trenches. You are in the
Mm,
trenches. You are in the forefront of patient care, for example, as opposed to
right.
the management, who, I mean, some of them were good, and I have encountered a lot of supervisors who are really good, really hands on, and will help you. But there are also some people. There's actually two kinds of manager, I find, the micromanager or the macro manager. So that's where all this came from, and I
The
sort of like
inspiration.
weave it into a story, into a novel, that which
Wow.
you
That's
know.
quite strategic,
Mhm.
Um, I guess, we've been talking about this book for quite a while now. I guess this is the best time to show the audience your book. Do you have like
Oh,
a
okay.
copy of this book?
Yeah, it's called
Oh,
the
there you
New York
go.
Collage. It's a collage because New York is a very unique okay, a very unique city or a place.
City, exactly. Mm,
Yeah, it's a melting pot of people, and so I love New York City. I really do. And so I find it fascinating just riding the subway for 30 something years. No, it's true. It's not even funny.
right, right.
You could find characters there. I mean,
True.
they're also very colorful characters that you find in subway, and just walking in the street of New York, or being in a post office. There's always drama here. There's a particular place here in Forest Hills where there's always a drama going on. If you just line up buying a stamp, there's
So
just
is there
conversations between the teller and the people who are lining up. Because a lot of people in New York are, I mean, I don't mean to, I love California. I've been to California many times. I love California. Put down any kind of state or anything, but it's just the characters are colorful, and they speak their mind, and you could build a whole story from just going into the post office or a store, for example. You know what I mean? So
that's true. Well,
that's why it's a collage, because it's a collage of collage. You think it's a photo. It's a photo of people, individuals are put into this kind of sort of a collage. So that's what it is. And for one murder, many people got entangled into it, and that's why it's called a collage. You know,
wow.
one murder.
That's interesting. You know,
Hmm.
Yeah, and also I'd like to know: is there any pictures in this book,
No,
or
no,
it's just
no, no, no.
pure text or
It's
stories
all
of
it's
what
all
happened?
it's all
Okay, all right.
words, and it's very colorful. Some people who read this, uh, I don't know because they're my friends. I don't know,
Yeah, I actually, mhm. I actually
oh, go
saw
ahead, go
this
ahead, sir.
positive reviews in Amazon, and it's really interesting that most of them are actually positive. That they love about your book. They kind of see it as a Sherlock Holmes type of book. But
Right,
probably
right, right,
my
right.
yeah my question as well for you, Virginia, is that
Mhm.
if in any case there is sort of like a negative feedback from anybody or from someone who read that book, how do you like process or deal with them?
The negative, I welcome them though, because because it is a learning curve. There's no perfect way of writing as is in life in general. There's no perfect, right? I mean, so that would help me in my next writing endeavor. That okay, this is what this. I would welcome them. No, no, I would
That's
welcome the
great.
negative. Yeah, because then I would probably think more of a character that would understand. Oh, that's a good point, and that's a great idea, or that's a good point. That he's trying to. I actually, on the side, some of the people, especially my partner, he's very also
Mhm.
very smart guy and also well versed. He made some points in it that I could have done better in this particular book. You know,
Right, right.
Right, right. And I welcome them. People who read the book and they have negative things, I would welcome them because I would think about it and I was like, okay, that next time then that would probably work in another story or something. No, no, no.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's a learning curve
And
for me.
is there any plans of doing a sequel of this book, or are
I
you
know other people.
working on?
Actually, one of my one of a friend that I work with, she was a technologist, and she said, I said, "What do you think?" And she said, Virginia, all I could say is more,
There you go. You know,
more books. And my partner, a few of them, people who read the book, they say that they love the detectives, the two detectives. I love them too. I miss them actually, which is kind of weird, because I like those two detectives, Lieutenant Riley and Ron Timmons,
mhm.
and it's yeah. My partner said I love those guys. When are you gonna resurrect them? I have to.
Well,
No,
it just
I
so
love them.
happened. It just so happened that I when I saw this comment about Sherlock Holmes, and then I tried to compare it with some of some of the chapter in this book. It kind of really reminds me of a Sherlock Holmes book, but or movie. So that's really true. I mean, people get interested with this kind of book, just like what happened with the Sherlock Holmes movie or book. They really they were all fascinated with how the main character try to solve a specific case in a very well mannered way. So I think that's the reason why people kind of want to get a sequel about or of this book, Virginia. And I guess my because we're pretty much running out of time here. I really enjoyed listening to
Yeah,
you,
me too. I
although
really enjoyed. Yeah.
although at some point there's a little bit of technical issue, but yeah, I can still hear most of the words or everything that you basically
Mm-hmm.
mentioned earlier. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess my last question is that what do you think is the best advice that you can give to a writer that is basically working on their first book right now?
Okay. First of all, you just have to keep on going. You have to keep on going, and there are times when you would probably look at an empty computer or empty page or whatever you're doing. We have to keep on going. And also another thing, this advice is advised by great writers, Stephen King and everybody great writer.
Wow,
You have to read a lot. You have to read.
exactly.
In fact, actually, when I started writing, my late father said, "You want to be a writer, you have to read, because it's like I don't want to mention anything, but it's like I don't know. It's so much gun going on around in this our society. But he compared it that if you have a gun and you don't have bullet, it would not come out. I know this. People would probably comment at this. What's she talking about guns? And this kind of thing. But but the thing, if you don't put anything, basically, okay, let me erase that. I don't want to talk about guns because
Okay,
then I would
okay.
get a negative thing on the internet, and people are like, oh, I don't want to buy this book. This
Right,
this
right.
girl is pro gun. I'm not a pro gun, so I had to take that away. But if you want to put out something like writing or painting or music, you have to learn from the masters. You have to learn from the master. You have to read, like, classical, like Hemingway, or like Sherlock Holmes, which I've read most of them, or Agatha Christie, that kind of stuff. you know
Wow.
yeah, I've read all those books, especially Sherlock Holmes, and Conan Doyle. You have to read the classic. You have to read Dostoevsky. You have to read. I've read Dostoevsky, and I read writers, great writers. Virginia Woolf is my actually my favorite.
Inspiration. Your
Yeah,
favorite. Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
because yeah, she was the one who did that stream of consciousness, and I actually probably put it in here too. Some of
Wow.
it, part of the stream consciousness, because I included in here what the people think, not sure what they spoke about or what their dialogue is, but I put something in their mind while they were, like the two detectives when they were in the house of the deceased, what they think and what they think. So one of my friends said to me, how did you do it? I said, I actually follow the people. I was behind them. I was looking at them, and what they're doing. Another thing, when you write, don't control the characters. Don't control them, because it comes out to you from the muse. It will just tell you what to do, because some writers would always have their brain, but it's
Yeah.
not it's not you. You are a vessel. So what exactly do you do? And those two detectives, when they walk into that apartment to do the investigation, they walk in the apartment. I literally saw them walking into the apartment, and I follow them. I didn't tell them what to do. I just follow what they're gonna do. Where they went to the bedroom, they went into the bathroom, what they do, and I could literally see them doing these things, browsing the photograph albums of the deceased and everything, and what they have in their mind. I also I put them in there in their mind, because normally when you do something, you have some thoughts in your mind. Your thoughts doesn't empty out, right? When you do something,
Yeah.
like you're sitting down,
Yeah. True.
even though there's nobody there, or even if there's somebody in there, you open a photograph, something comes up in your thoughts, and that's how it is. So you have to read a lot. You just have to keep on going and schedule. Which is, I'm bad at it. It's called schedule, like routine. At
Yeah.
least you have to write
Like
something every day.
that's true. At least
Which, yeah,
that kind of give
which
you a
I'm bad at.
progress. Yeah, that kind of give you a progress of what you're actually writing right now. Because if you don't have a daily writing routine, then definitely it's gonna take you forever to finish the
Right,
book.
right. And there's
Um,
another one I just heard from James Patterson. He said some writers, when they are in a one project, they just stay in it and wait. He doesn't. He said, when interviewed by Chris Como, he said he doesn't. Leave that alone and start a new one, and keep on going and just leave it alone. And that's another thing which I have to do myself, because sometimes I get stuck in this kind of thing, and I leave it. And
right,
keep
right.
on moving. If you have an idea, just write it, and leave that alone. That's
That's
all I could
true.
say. And I hope all of them would be successful in it. But you just have to keep at it. Just keep on doing it. You know.
That's true.
Yeah.
I agree with that, Virginia. And for those who are watching us live right now, you can actually grab a copy of Virginia's book. If you can see in the picture or in this interview, that's a green cover with some wires. That's available in Amazon. All you got to do is type in Virginia E. Escandor, a New Year collage, and this is definitely the first thing that you will see in Amazon.com or in BarnesandNoble.com. Do you have a website, Virginia?
No, I don't. That's another story.
You,
That's
or
another
any
story.
social media page or account that they can possibly follow?
Yeah,
like
they are on
Facebook?
that. There's a they are everywhere. There are books in a million, barnesandnoble.com, and also
Mm.
yeah, the Amazon. I mean, I don't know. I mean, or you can call the Palmetto Publishing, but I don't know if they would,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the Palmetto Publishing where this is published. It's all right. But anyway, I'm grateful for people. I'm grateful to the readers who bought the book or trying to buy the book. It's okay. It's my gift to the world. Because it's a gift. Writing is a gift. So I just want to share
Exactly.
this to the world. And
To the
yeah,
audience. Yeah.
that's all I
Well,
could say. To the
well,
audience. Yeah.
thank you as well, Virginia, for your time today. I really appreciate for giving us a preview of what you encounter or what are basically your experiences in writing this book. And I know that, and I hope rather that this book will be successful, just like Sherlock Holmes' book, right?
Yeah, right. Sherlock Holmes, yeah, no, my favorite character, yes. It's elementary, my dear Watson, right? It's always said that.
Yeah,
Elementary, my dear Watson. It's all elementary. Okay.
yeah.
Thank
Well,
you so
anyway, thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much again for your time, Virginia. And as we say it here with Readers Magnet, we share your story with the world. Goodbye.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. Okay.